Assalamualaikum. I'm Noriznan Izzani bin Azhar from AM1103C. So my group with Aiman, Haiqal, Ehsan and Azim will present about election commission in Malaysia. First of all, I will tell you about introduction of election commission. Election commission in Malaysia is very important to success the election. It is because they had responsibilities for them to do before, during and after the election. If they make one mistake, it will affect the whole country. They also need consistency so as not to take bribes. The vision of election commission is to be an excellent democratic election management institution that is trusted by the citizens. While their mission is to carry the parliamentary democratic system and to guarantee the rights of the citizens to elect their representative by managing, regulating and conducting free and fair election. Election is an organized process in which people choose a person to a position of public importance such as presidency or a group of people to represent them in national or state assemblies. Election process including the act of choosing someone, the exercise of deliberate choice, casting votes to select the winner of opposition, and can be held in many settings. In this project, we discuss something related to election commission, such as about election. We discuss about definition, type, process of election, and many more. So we go to next with my friend Aiman.
Definition of election. Election is an organized process in which people choose a person to a position of a public importance such as presidency or a group of people to represent them in a national or state assemblies. This was stated by SS Islam and AR Mohd. Election can also be defined as the primary way of achieving popular goals and of orderly change in the personnel who run the administration. In Malaysia, there is two level of election. The first level is federal level election, and number two is state level election. Federal level election is for membership in the Dewan Rakyat, the lower house of parliament, and the state level is for membership in the various state legislative assembly, Dewan Undangan Negeri. All the election process will be managed and monitored by SPR, which is Suruhanjaya Pilihan Raya Malaysia. So another important part in election is the voters. So the voters first, the thing that they must do is sign up with SPR. After they sign up, so they can take part in election. A few guidelines must be followed. For example, there must be Malaysia citizen and not bankrupt or not in the jail. For the type of election, election consists of various types. So the various type, this various type is depend on the country to use which types of election. Okay, so the first type of election is general election. Usually general election was used by all country usually. So it's an election in which way or any most members of a single political body usually picked. In Malaysia, general election must be held at least once every 5 years. However, YDPA could be requested by the Prime Minister to dissolve the Parliament before the expiry of 5 years term, like Tun Dr. Mahathir did recently. So next, the second types of election is primary election. The candidates who get the highest votes in this election will go on to run in the general election. Electors also vote for officer of their party during election. The third one is special election. This election was held to replace an office that has become vacant before the occupant finishes the term. For example, death. The death that happened to the previous officer. And the last type of election is presidential and electoral college. Each political party hosts a national convention in presidential elections where they select their candidate for president. The electoral college is a group of electors. The electoral college is a group of electors in United States of America, a citizen of United States, and 18 years old. They already have the right to vote for presidential candidate in the national election.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Haiqal from class 3C. I want to talk about the election process in Malaysia. Malaysia has two-level election, the state level and the federal level. There are 6 processes of election in Malaysia according to Election Commission of Malaysia. The first process is issuance of the writ. The election committee will issue the writ to the returning officer. After the dissolution of parliament, the election committee will announce the notice of election. In the notice will include the date of nomination and the date of polling. The second process is nomination. The candidate must submit the nomination form and the election deposit with certain amount. The candidate will lose their deposit if they did not get at least 1/8 of the total number of vote cast. There are 3 requirements to candidate for run the election. They must be Malaysian citizen at least 21 years old, do not have a mental problem and not bankrupt. The third process is campaign. The candidate can start their campaign after finish the nomination process. The candidate required to pay deposit of campaign materials. The campaign should stop at 12 midnight before the polling day. Fourth process is polling. The voters will go out to vote at designated polling station. Usually, the voting time is at 8 AM to 5 PM. For certain cases like people who eligible to vote by post, they can vote earlier. The fifth process is count the ballot papers. After voting is over, the head of polling station will start count the ballot papers. And the last process of the election in Malaysia is announcement of the election result. They will announce to public who is the winner of the election. That's all from me. Thank you.
I will talk about the Election Commission of Malaysia, or in Malay, we call it Suruhanjaya Pilihan Raya Malaysia, SPR. According to the 114 of Federal Constitution of Malaysia, the Election Commission was established on 4 September 1957. During its establishment, the Election Commission comprised of only one chairman and two members. The first chairman of the Election Commission was Datuk Dr. Mustafa Al-Bakri bin Haji Hassan, and the members were Mr. Lee Iwi Boon and Mr. Dit Singh. In 1963, the numbers of members was increased to 3 persons. The additional members was either from Sabah and Sarawak and was appointed on a rotational basis. Datuk Abang Haji Marzuki Noor from Sarawak became the first member to represent these two states. In 1981, Article 114 of Federal Constitution was amended to enable the appointment of a deputy chairman. Mr. Abdul Rahman Abu Hassan became the first person to fill the deputy chairman's position. In 2002, amendment to the Federal Constitution was approved to increase the membership of Election Commission to 7 persons, which were a chairman, a deputy chairman, and 5 members, including 1 member from Sabah and Sarawak each. In order to carry out its functions, the Election Commission formed a secretariat that was headed by a secretary. The secretary serves as a chief administrator to the secretariat. The first appointed secretary was Mr. H. Cassidy, who served from 1957 until 1958. Today, the Election Commission has a chairman, a deputy chairman, and 5 members, all of whom have been named by Yang di-Pertuan Agong in the Constitution with the Conference of Governors. The current chairman and deputy chairman of Election Commission is Dr. Abdul Ghani Saleh and Dr. Azim Sharuk, while the members are Datuk Ni Ali Mat Yunus, Datuk Chin Pai Yung, Mrs. Zoe Randawa, Dr. Muhammad Faisal Syam Abdul Haziz, and Datuk Awang Sahari E.M. Nazir. The Election Commission's Secretariat is headed by Datuk Ikmaruddin Ishaq as a secretary.
And now, for the function of Malaysian Election Commission. The most significant function of the Election Commission is obviously to conduct the general election. Meanwhile, on a polling day, the EC are responsible to oversee the process of general election. Other than that, they are responsible for registering all the qualified voters among the Malaysian citizens for upcoming general election. They also promote awareness to the public on why the general election is important and encourage them to take part in vote. Apart from that, they have to study and redelineate the parliamentary and state election boundaries every not less than 8 years after the date of completion of the previous one complete. Next, they are collecting information on newly developed areas to ensure a fair representation of voters in such constituency. They will also revise the electoral roll by deleting the names of those who are dead or have been disqualified.
Okay, now we are in the conclusion. So the conclusion, Election Commission is important to success the election without any problems. If there is any such error, it will affect the people who vote their own representative, who can convey the feelings of the people in Parliament. Election Commission need to be fair and not in favor of any party. This is to increase the achievement, which is not only to the country but also to people and the organization of Election Commission. If they succeed in preventing and curbing corruption like offences, they will succeed in fulfilling the guaranteed rights of citizens to elect their representative, which is their mission. I hope, we hope, our group hope, election commission in Malaysia can carry out their duties and can help facilitate the people. That's all from us. Thank you.